Good morning. We're at Psalm 137. It may surprise you, but I've been looking forward to this psalm since we began this project. It's a pretty important psalm to me. It teaches a really important principle, though it can be confusing. I'm going to read it and then I'll expound on it. By the rivers of Babylon we sat and wept. When we remembered Zion, there on the poplars we hung our harps. For there our captors asked us for songs. Our tormentors demanded songs of joy. They said, "Sing us one of the songs of Zion." How can we sing the songs of Zion while in a foreign land? If I forget you, Jerusalem, may my right hand forget its skill. May my tongue cling to the roof of my mouth. If I do not remember you, if I do not consider Jerusalem my highest joy. Remember, Lord, what the Edomites did on the day Jerusalem fell. Tear it down, they cried. Tear it down to its foundations. Daughter Babylon, doomed to destruction. Happy is the one who repays you according to what you have done to us. Happy, blessed, is the one who seizes your infants and dashes them against the rocks. May the Lord bless the reading of his word. Now, this is one of those imprecatory psalms. It's a psalm that in some ways doesn't resolve. It's a psalm that is a cry for justice. It's a post-exile psalm. So remember that there was a time when Israel, Judah, was carried to Babylon after they were conquered, forced to resettle, and there lived for 75 years, and then were brought back later to their homeland. So a number of generations would have died in a foreign land. They are recalling times where in that foreign land they were mocked by their conquerors for their faith in God, and who made their religious observance a parody. And there was deep anger, seething anger over those acts of injustice and cruelty, such that they were led to say, happy or blessed is the one who seizes the babies of the Babylonians and dashes them against the rocks. Now, when we get to Scripture, we know there's always an active interpretation that goes on. Many of us, or all of us hopefully, are deeply committed to the inspiration of Scripture, the authority of Scripture. But of course we know intuitively this is not tacit, right? A tacit approval of the act or even of the feeling, nor does it allow us to pray or to think that we could somehow do these things and be approved by God. What this psalm shows us is that when we're interacting with God, we are allowed to say the hardest things. We're allowed to say the true feelings, the true emotions. We're allowed to express them to God. We're allowed to vent to God. We're allowed to express our deep frustration. We're allowed to cry out for justice from God. This psalm gives us approval of expressing our strongest feelings to God. I know some folks who went through deep tragedy who for a long period of time really cried out, cussed as unto the Lord, right? Deep anger, deep sadness, deep frustration. Now, why is it okay? Why should we not be careful with our tongue? Because if we're actually feeling it, if those emotions are already in the soul, wouldn't we think that God knows those things? And in some ways, if we bring those emotions to God, isn't that the safest place? And in some way, as we out ourselves, some of those feelings, those very strong emotions that we feel, maybe not dissipate, but we get a new perspective on them. Even as we say these shocking feelings to the Lord, there is perspective that we gain. And oftentimes, we are allowed to work through those feelings with God's help. I tell people all the time, theodicy, the problem of pain, why does a good God allow suffering? Listen, there are unanswerables why God allows certain things. Probably in this life you'll never get the perspective of why God allowed certain things. But your choices in the midst of that suffering, pain, frustration, either run towards the one who can comfort you, or run away from him. This is a psalm that says, take your strongest feelings, your deepest frustration, and speak them out to God. Allow God to help you process them. I hope now this psalm guides you to express your feelings to God in a way that you can work through them. Grace and peace to you.